Hi, my name is KELGORE Trout, and I'm a loser. Like and subscribe if you get sleepy between 2 and 3 p.m. Alright, so last month I posted a video called In Defense of Being a Broke Loser, and it's kind of like anti-capitalist, anti-work, kind of the same as my other stuff, but a little bit more just me kind of chatting with you guys, and I was surprised because that video really blew up, and I really appreciate everybody's feedback about it. Even Jordan Peterson reacted to it. It's all fun and games until you're getting psychoanalyzed by the Doc Lobster himself.
Fly me to the moon.
Anyways, after his untimely passing, I've decided to make another video on the topic to honor him. I'm basically going to use this video here to AstroTurf loser positivity culture war, and I need your help because I can't do it alone. So go to change.org/I'm a fucking loser. You've probably heard of like the Slacker era, or you're familiar with like Slacker comedies. This was pretty prevalent after there was like a recession in the 80s. A lot of people couldn't get jobs, especially young people who were like just out of college with a degree and like couldn't get work. It's definitely more complicated than that. But anyways, my point is there was like a movement kind of rebelling against the status quo. And then there was like the Slacker revival, although I think that was more of like a musical thing with like, 90s grunge kind of thing, Burt Cocaine, all that kind of stuff. But this time, this loser positivity movement, this is different. Because this time, I'm involved. I did a poll to see what you guys wanted me to make a video about this week, and the winner was losers. Hell yeah, we love when that happens. If you haven't watched that video, it'll be linked right here. Go watch it. It's pretty short, and it'll definitely provide some context for what I'm talking about. The summary of that video is basically just that, after living a life of being an ambitious person with big expectations for my future, I'm trying to let a lot of that go because I'm realizing that I'm probably never going to have a lot of money, and I'm never going to meet society's standards, and I don't even fucking want to, okay? And I think a lot of us feel that, where we're like, we feel pressure to like meet a certain standard, but at the same exact time, we don't even care about those standards, or we don't even agree with those standards. And so it's like a thing that all of us live with. Nobody's impervious to it. We all have like outside expectations pushing us to be something that we aren't. And a lot of it for me was just gross capitalistic stuff. And I hate all of that. You guys know I've made, 60 fucking videos about how much I don't agree with capitalism and its fallout. So yeah, this is like a natural point for me to come to be like, nah, I need to reject this on like a more personal level. Basically, if the statistical outcome of capitalism is that most people fucking lose at the game of capitalism, why don't we at least try to have some fun while we're losing, right? And thus the loser positivity movement was born. So in this video, we are going to learn how to fully become our loser selves, because it really is a process to undo some of the damage that, hustle culture and the American dream and all that has done to us. I think on like a personal level, but also within friendships, within families, everything. All right, so I have someone we're going to watch who's going to teach us how we can become losers. So let's go ahead.
First of all, only do the very minimum at your work. Never offer to do anything more. Just do the minimum.
All right. So first, I should probably give you guys some context, because the first time I watched this, I was like, wait, is this guy being sincere? Like, is he pro slacker kind of, right? And I couldn't tell if he was like kind of being ironic and being like, don't fucking try at work, it won't pay off, they could fire you at any minute. And I really couldn't tell like where he was coming from. So let's back it up a little. We're gonna watch about 3 minutes of what was a 45-minute long interview on a YouTube channel called Paradox. Yeah, Paradox. He is a motivational speaker. He's a sales guru. He's basically a modern day wizard. Okay, I know it does sound like he's being sort of sarcastic, but that's only because he's sarcastically giving advice as if you would want to become a loser. But we're going to take that advice to heart because we do want to become losers, and we don't want to be motivational fucking achievers or whatever it is that he does. I hate to take people out of context, but the rest of this 45-minute long interview is literally just a bunch of like useless sales garbage, so it doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about here. So no, we won't be watching it. But for some context, his name is Brian Tracy. He's a sales guru. He has like a bunch of sales books. He does a bunch of motivational speaking gigs. He has tons of videos online. And I don't normally comment on people's looks at all, but this guy, for some reason, he falls into like the uncanny valley for me. He's very strange looking. Like, he looks like someone's ventriloquist dummy became sentient and then grew old. He looks like the first person Latinos called a gringo. He looks like if C-3PO had no soul. He looks like one of those old-timey black and white photos from the 1890s where they added blush in post. He looks like a Republican state senator who ran for president but didn't actually make it past the primaries. Is that enough? Do you understand what he looks like now? Anyways, he loves to also talk about being in the top 10% of people, which is a weird thing to say.
Fully functioning people, these are the top 10% of people, never complain and never explain.
Anyways, that's enough of an introduction. Let's learn what he has to say about being losers.
So Brian, I have a serious questions for you. I would love to help people to become losers, and I come to you to have advice to do that. Do you have some tips to become a loser?
Absolutely. First of all, only do the very minimum at your work. Never offer to do anything more. Just do the minimum.
First of all, the minimum is actually what they pay you to do. Unless you work on some kind of commission or something like that, where it's like on a sliding scale with bonuses, you won't get paid for doing more than that.
Come to work at the last minute and leave at the first minute, and waste as much time as possible during the day talking to your friends. That's the first way. And do personal business on your cell phone and telephone and computer. Just waste as much time as possible.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Do not get there early and do not stay late. Why? Because you won't be compensated for those minutes or hours that you're there. In another video, I heard this guy say that all the money is made after 5 p.m. or something. And I'm like, shit, that's super inefficient.
Second of all, don't have any goals for the future. Because if you have no goals, then you have no direction, and you have no future. And you will always have to do what other people with goals tell you to do.
Okay. I'm not saying that you can't have goals. You can be a loser and still have some goals. But ambition is like this double-edged sword, right? Ambition can help you achieve the things that you want in life. And I think that that's just gonna everyone kind of has certain ambitions. You could be ambitious that you want to fucking get in bed early tonight. You know what I mean? You could ambitiously fucking take a nap. You could be like, oh, I aspire to chill later. But obviously he means goals in terms of like your career or how much money you're earning. I'm not saying you can't have those goals in life, but you have to know that like everything hangs in the balance, and when you fucking achieve one thing, you've sacrificed another, and you just have to like make sure that you're not doing those things for the wrong reason, because if you do what you think are the right things for the wrong reasons, at the end of the day, you're gonna be unhappy. Also, I would just like to add, earlier he was talking about like do the least at work, but like these are the kind of guys who have like assistants and interns do all of their fucking work for them. Can I just point that out?
And you will always have to do what other people with goals tell you to do. So you'll always be a lower person taking orders from people who have goals.
Wow.
You'll be a lower person taking orders from people who have goals. Sometimes these guys really, especially the motivational speaker guys, they really go mask off with like the fucking capitalism thing because they're trying to motivate you to get out of these bad jobs and stuff that are like at the bottom. They're trying to motivate you out of that. So they talk about how exploited you are in your job. And like they kind of say the quiet part loud a little bit. And it's like, oh, maybe instead of like doing the thing with the crab in the bucket thing where you just try to climb on top of somebody else in the bucket or on the pyramid or whatever, in the corporate ladder, instead of that, like maybe we should change this system. Anyone?
The third thing that you can do to be a loser is be very poor at your work and never improve.
Oh, I love that.
Do only the amount necessary not to be fired. And never become known as being good at your work.
This is like a line from Office Space. I'll insert it here.
That's my only real motivation, is not to be hassled. That and the fear of losing my job. But you know, Bob, that'll only make someone work just hard enough not to get fired.
He's like, I want to slack off, but I have to work just enough to keep the boss off of my back, because if I slack off too much, they're going to be all up in my business and making sure I'm working harder.
Another is complain about your boss
Oh,
and your company and your coworkers all the time.
and the society.
Yes, always complain about how they're no good and how they're holding you back and how the reason you're not successful is because of politics. And
Okay, this one I agree with. I think it's important. If the reason you're not able to be successful, and successful I think is kind of a code word here for happy, fulfilled, getting your basic needs met. If the reason for that is political, you should talk about it. That's what politics is. You can't have a discussion about work and class and labor and any of that without it being political. Okay? So if people on a vast scale are not fulfilled and they can't fucking survive on one income or something, and they're talking about that, yeah, that's political. And you should blame it on that. Because the truth is, we have more than enough money and resources and food and all this shit and space. Do you know how much empty space there is in America where people could be living? Do you know how many empty houses? Fucking San Francisco. There's like 800,000 people here. There's at least 8 to 10,000 homeless people at any given moment. That's like the rough estimate. It's obviously it's transient. It's hard to nail down an exact number, but that's a fucking ballpark number. And they say that about 10% of our housing stock sits empty at any given time because of greedy fucking landlords and investors. Go ahead and watch. Here's a playlist about landlords. Oh yeah, we have more than enough resources for all the people in the world to get their needs met. It's not about who hustles and who grinds the hardest. It's about how we allocate those resources. And Brian here just simply does not have the fucking imagination to see how we could put a homeless person into an empty housing unit. Or, before they even become homeless, make sure that they have access to free or very, very, very affordable housing. I know so many people that work so hard and they make like jack shit. I don't know. Fucking explain that. I just don't get it. I don't get why on top of working day in and day out, you also have to have like the mindset. I'm sorry. I have the mindset every day when I put my little work clothes on and go to my little jobby job. What other... Now I have to have a mindset for when that isn't enough. I have to have a mindset for dealing with that too.
Another would be to not manage your time well.
Okay.
Is never do anything of value. Is never plan your days. Just do whatever happens during the day.
You ever at work and someone comes to you and they're like, I need you to go through these files and reorganize them all because something happened. Can you reorganize them alphabetically? And you're like, okay, sure. But you're already doing something. So you're like, I'll get to that later, right? An hour later, the same bitch walks back in your office and goes, hey, actually, never mind. We just realized those are actually garbage. We're throwing those away. Thanks, bye. And it's like, well, fucking gee whiz, I'm sure glad I didn't waste my time organizing those because you were just going to throw them away anyway. And there's like this greater disorganization that wastes a bunch of time. And sometimes if you just wait, the problem goes away. Maybe just see if this shit works itself out. You know? Maybe just wait and see. Path of least resistance at work.
One of the very best ways to be a loser is to be critical.
Oh, I love this one. Be critical. Yes. And I love that he's implying that if you want to be successful, you need to turn that brain off and stop being so fucking critical and judgmental. And you just need to not think about it so hard.
Criticism of yourself, but especially criticism of others, is the fastest way to destroy human relationships.
Okay, I will disagree. I think we need to be less critical of ourselves within certain contexts. Being critical of yourself sometimes is just introspection, and I think that's a really good thing. You know what? I don't know if I could make this into a whole video, so I'll just put it in here. I was looking at like the BITE model and how, they talk about like cult indoctrination, and one of the things that they do in a lot of cults, but also in a lot of corporations and stuff like that, commercial cults, is they keep people so busy that they never have time to stop and think about what it is that they're doing. And I think that with COVID, a lot of us were forced to stop, whether we wanted to or not. We had all this free time. We're literally sitting still inside, kind of just reflecting on a lot of things. And I think that's where a lot of the like anti-work, great resignation sentiments came from. Even if you were still working from home or something, it was obviously going to be a very different pace. And you didn't have all that busyness of an office to keep you stimulated and everything. And also, not to mention people like me who just got laid off completely and I was just sitting at home thinking about life and the future. I think that like it's a really important thing to sit and reflect upon things. Think critically about yourself and where you fit in places. I don't think you should be critical of yourself in terms of society's standards, what society says you should be doing, what society says is enough or isn't enough, and people like Brian here, what his expectations of you are. Because at the end of the day, Brian's trying to sell you shit. You got to remember that.
So you will never have any good friends. You'll never have good relationships. If you have children, your children will never be happy. Your spouse will never be happy, and nobody will like you.
That's great.
Yes. So those are some really, really good ways to be a loser.
Wow, that is super loaded. Like, hey, you can be a loser. All you have to do is think critically about yourself and others, and then that way your kids never like you, your spouse isn't happy, and no one likes you. Whoa. What if you do all the stuff you think you're supposed to do, and then those people still don't fucking like you? Then what?
Yeah, I think you have a lot of advice, so you have to write a book. It's a great question. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I will apply that.
Okay, so the rest of this is basically just sales advice. I just thought that was such a beautiful little nugget of how to be a loser put so succinctly. There's a lot of these videos online and it's like tongue-in-cheek, how to become a loser, and it's like from motivational guys being like, blame everyone else for your problems. But when we're talking about like entire generations of people being disenfranchised or entire races of people being fucking systemically oppressed, yes, you should blame that on them. And they want us to just be like, nah, just get back on your grind, man. Anyways, I think that's going to be it for today. I want to make more videos about this loser positivity thing. Can you guys like go on TikTok and make this a thing? Like, just make it go viral. You know what I mean? I was thinking we could do like a loser core aesthetic trend. That would be really funny. Maybe I should try to like make a sound on TikTok, but I don't know if I have the ability to make something like that go viral. Let me know if you guys want to help me with this. I could make a video where we dress up as a loser and what it means to us to look like a loser. Little loser core aesthetic, right? I could do a video about like the slacker era of the 80s and kind of like the parallels to now, economically and everything. I could make that video about how to be a Sigma loser like fucking Jeff Lebowski. I'd love to keep talking about this because even though it is kind of jokey and silly, at the end of the day, it really is important to me that for all the people who are being beat down by the system over and over again, who are otherwise good people, they're caring, they're kind, they take care of the people in their lives, but they just don't have enough to make ends meet, or they don't see their goals panning out the way they wish they could. Or for people who have goals, but those goals just never seem to be attainable because one thing just adds to another, and they're just, I don't know, too bogged down by life to even get anything off the ground. I like to think that I'm making videos that affirm for those people that they're not alone and that, maybe they can let go of some of those feelings while maintaining happiness and focusing on the things that do matter at the end of the day. My camera's about to overheat, but thank you so much for watching this video. Bye-bye.